A Tale of Two Cities. It's a sweeping story of love, sacrifice, and the tumultuous times of the French Revolution. Imagine two cities, London and Paris, linked by fate and a few remarkable individuals. Let's journey through this classic in a simple way. Book the first, Recalled to Life. Our story opens in 1775. Mr. Jarvis Lorry, a dignified and loyal man of Tellson's Bank in London, receives a message, recalled to life. This cryptic message is for Lucy Monette, a young woman who believed her father, Dr. Alexandre Monette, was long dead. Mr. Lorry has been a faithful friend of the family, and is tasked with bringing Lucy to her father, who has been released after 18 agonizing years of imprisonment in the infamous Bastille in Paris. Lucy is a picture of gentle kindness and resilience, having grown up in England as an orphan. The news of her father's survival is both shocking and hopeful. Together, she and Mr. Lorry traveled to a dingy wine shop in a poor district of Paris, owned by the sinister Monsieur and Madame Defarge. Madame Defarge is a formidable woman who constantly knits, her needle seemingly recording the names of those she holds in contempt. In a small, dark room above the wine shop, they find Dr. Monette. Years of solitary confinement have taken their toll. He is frail, his mind clouded, and he spends his days making shoes, a repetitive task that has become his only solace. He doesn't initially recognize his daughter, but Lucy's unwavering love and gentle presence slowly begin to penetrate the darkness that surrounds him. A single strand of golden hair that Lucy carries, reminiscent of his wife, sparks a flicker of recognition. Slowly, painstakingly, Lucy nurses her father back to a semblance of health and memory. They return to England, where Dr. Monette finds a peaceful life with his devoted daughter. His past, however, remains a shadow, a silent testament to the injustice and cruelty of the French aristocracy.
Book the second, The Golden Thread. 5 years pass. It's now 1780, and we are introduced to Charles Darnay, a refined and honorable Frenchman living in England. He is accused of treason against the English crown, based on flimsy evidence and the testimony of two unsavory characters, John Barsad, a spy, and Roger Cly, a thief and fellow spy. Lucy and Dr. Monette are witnesses at Darnay's trial. Their presence is significant because Dr. Monette had once unknowingly been a victim of the very aristocratic family Darnay belongs to, the Evermonts. However, it is the brilliant and dissolute lawyer, Sidney Carton, who unexpectedly saves Darnay. Carton bears a striking resemblance to Darnay, a fact he uses to his advantage, cleverly discrediting the prosecution's witnesses. Darnay is acquitted, and he becomes a frequent visitor to the Monette household. He is deeply drawn to Lucy's kindness and purity, and she, in turn, finds comfort and strength in his presence. Sidney Carton, despite his cynicism and self-destructive tendencies, also develops a profound, albeit unspoken, love for Lucy. He recognizes her inherent goodness and feels a sense of worthlessness in her radiant light. Meanwhile, the seeds of revolution are being sown in France. The common people are suffering under the oppressive rule of the aristocracy, and resentment is brewing. Monsieur Defarge, a former servant of Dr. Monette, is a key figure in the revolutionary movement, and Madame Defarge relentlessly fuels the flames of hatred, her knitting becoming a symbolic register of the aristocracy's crimes. Dr. Monette, having experienced the horrors of the old regime firsthand, initially harbors a deep resentment towards the Evermond family. However, when Charles Darnay reveals his true identity, as the Marquis Saint-Evremond, renouncing his title and the family's cruel legacy, Dr. Monette struggles with his feelings. Lucy, unaware of Darnay's lineage, falls deeply in love with him, and they eventually marry. The marriage brings a period of happiness, and they have a daughter. Sidney Carton, despite his inner turmoil, becomes a cherished friend of the family. However, the distant rumblings of the French Revolution grow louder, casting a shadow over their peaceful lives in England. In Paris, they find a city consumed by chaos and violence. The revolutionaries, fueled by years of oppression, are enacting brutal justice. Dr. Monette, initially respected for his imprisonment, tries to use his influence to secure Darnay's release. He manages to get Darnay acquitted by the Revolutionary Tribunal. However, their relief is short-lived. Darnay is denounced a second time, this time by the Defarges and another man. The charge is based on a letter written by Dr. Monette during his imprisonment, which reveals the horrific crimes committed by the Marquis Saint-Evremond, Darnay's father, and his twin brother, including the rape and murder of a peasant woman, and the imprisonment of Dr. Monette himself for trying to expose them. This revelation shatters Lucy and Dr. Monette. The cycle of aristocratic cruelty has come full circle, and Darnay is condemned to death. Amidst this despair, Sidney Carton emerges as the unlikely hero. He has followed the Maynets to Paris, his love for Lucy driving him to an extraordinary act of self-sacrifice. He devises a plan to save Darnay through a series of clever manipulations, including befriending a prison guard and exploiting his resemblance to Darnay. Carton manages to switch places with him in prison. The final scenes are heart-wrenching. Carton, facing his own execution, finds a sense of peace and purpose he has never known before. His last thoughts are of Lucy and the happiness she will have with Darnay. He utters the famous lines, "It is a far, far better thing that I do than I have ever done. It is a far, far better rest that I go to than I have ever known." Meanwhile, Miss Pross has a dramatic confrontation with Madame Defarge, who is determined to see the entire Evrémonde lineage wiped out. In a fierce struggle, Madame Defarge is accidentally killed by her own pistol, ensuring the safety of Lucy and her daughter. In the end, Charles Darnay is smuggled out of the prison and escapes Paris with Lucy, their daughter, Dr. Manette, and Mr. Lorry. They leave behind the reign of terror and the selfless sacrifice of Sidney Carton, who gave his life so that Lucy and her family could live. A Tale of Two Cities is a powerful story about the destructive nature of oppression and the redemptive power of love and sacrifice. It highlights the stark contrast between the peaceful life in England and the violent upheaval in France, and the extraordinary acts of courage and compassion that can emerge even in the darkest of times. Sidney Carton's ultimate sacrifice stands as a testament to the profound impact one person can have, even in their own perceived worthlessness. The golden thread of Lucy's love weaves through the narrative, connecting the lives of these disparate characters, and ultimately leading to hope amidst tragedy.